All good?
Looks good, Anil. Yeah, hi, good afternoon and good evening, everyone from wherever you're joining in. And welcome to our webinar series called Expert Speak in association with IABSC, the International Association for Business Analytics Certification. And today, let us start with giving you a brief about the speaker for today, Mr. Anirban Sinha. Anirban is the Director of Strategic Planning and Analytics at Western Union, and he has a proven track record in providing solution-focused analytics and enterprise strategies. And with more than 18 years of experience in creating integrated data science and strategy teams, he is also driving the development and execution of data-driven strategies impacting diverse markets in the US, Europe, and the Asia Pacific. And today he'll be covering the topic on AI and personalization. And just one request to all the participants, please post your questions and queries in the chat, and we will present it to the speaker at the end of the presentation. And over to you, Anirban.
Thank you, Ram. Happy Friday, everyone. Pleasure to be with all of you today. And thanks for joining in from wherever you are right now. So would love to start with something that's something around AI and personalization. But before that, before we get into that, so January 2024, there was an event in CES, Las Vegas, and Nicholas, who is the CEO of L'Oreal, he came in and he was one of the keynote speakers, right? And he started talking about a bunch of things that L'Oreal's doing. And one of the things that he talked about was also around something that L'Oreal calls as Beauty Genius. And he introduced that app in that particular forum, right? And if you have time, please go and probably look into that introduction. It's a great one. So what he did was he came in and he asked that beauty genius, hey, I am pretty jet lagged today. Do you have any beauty tips for me? And the genius said, you might try using one of the L'Oreal eye serum. And then the beauty genius did not stop there. So the genius also asked, hey, Nicholas, can you just scan your face? And if I can scan your face, I can give you some more solutions. And Nicholas agreed to do that. And the genius continued to provide him a bunch of beauty suggestions and recommendations. What it also did was it asked Nicholas for his age, and he said, "Oh, not comfortable," and the genius agreed. Soon after, Nicholas's deputy, Barbara, she also asked Genius, hey, I am going to give a speech on a stage. Can you give me some solutions? And as it's trained on, the Genius provided a lot of different suggestions, right? So Barbara asked, hey, I'm not a makeup artist, right? So I can't take all your suggestions and start putting makeup on me. So what Genius did was suggested her a bunch of training videos and tutorials where she can probably go in and start looking into that. So some example of how different companies are actually starting to use AI data and a bunch of the personalization on the top of that to really deliver personalized advice, recommendations, diagnostics, add a bunch of solutions, right? And so that's where the world is right now. Probably love to also start providing you another story. So it's a great Friday evening storytelling time for and for all of us. So when I was actually leading the customer strategy and planning for Western Union, EMEA, APAC, which is like half of our business. 2021, I was in Dubai to really meet with our agents and talk to customers and really understand that. So I was in a hotel named the Grosvenor House in Dubai near the Marina. And the good part about 2021 was I was there with my wife and daughter. Coming to 2024, I had to again go to Dubai for a leadership summit, internal leadership summit, and it was good, but I was not really happy because I was traveling on the date of my birthday, right? So it's my birthday, and I had to leave my family, travel to Dubai. This time I'm not traveling with my family. So I entered the same hotel. I went to the reception to check in, and the receptionist said, "Happy birthday," which is nice. So they figured out my birthday, which is good. And I took my key, went to the room, I checked in, and um, surprise. So I think they had a bottle of wine, which again I am not pretty happy with because I'm not a wine drinker, which is okay. But they had a good chocolate cake for me and a handwritten note which says, "We don't want you to miss your family on this tour." So what it really touched upon in this case was definitely personalized. It figured out I'm coming in, it's my birthday. They figured out that I'm not coming in with my family. They also provided me a handwritten note, which is good. But what it also did was touched upon a very critical component of me as a person, which is emotions. So a good personalization in any enterprise actually talks about you and your emotions. So, so this is the wine and the handwritten note. If I miss that slide, right? Um, what are we going to talk about today? Primarily, all of us we have encountered, we know about personalization. So we primarily going to talk about my perspective about how I look into personalization and as enterprises, as a state of art, where are we moving towards? And then I'd also like to touch upon a few thoughts in terms of how different organizations and enterprises can actually hit upon that magic potion that we all think about as personalization. But again, we are not there yet, right? Um, a little bit of quick intro about myself. Thank you, Ram, for doing all that to start with. But I currently lead a lot of the strategy and analytics for all our new initiatives for Western Union, which really drives us towards the next 3 to 5 years in Western Union. And a lot of that work actually also hits upon how we gather a lot of the different data sets for the more than millions of customers and multi-million customers that we have. And when we talk about Western Union in any part of the world, we are talking about senders, we are talking about receivers. So it's a bunch of different kind of customers that we talk about. So how do we gather a lot of the data sets, generate a lot of insights, and really create the right solutions for these customers? And a lot of that work hits upon how we do the right personalization, the right customization for these customers across the world. We'll take a pause. I know we are on a Zoom webinar. We probably would not be able to do a voting. I wanted to do a quick poll, but having said that, let's not do a poll right now. But wanted to quickly, wherever you are, think about in your mind, how do you, the summer's coming, how do you decide your summer travel itinerary? So say for example, if you're going, if you're planning to think about going, thinking about going somewhere during summers, how do you really plan for that? So say for example, again, I'm taking some cases, you don't have a place in mind, you don't have a budget in mind. Then you have really option A and option B. Think about it for a couple of seconds. Do you want to, how do you, as a person, how do you really decide your summer travel? Do you want to go to a travel website, talk to an agent, and take one of the existing group plans that they have? Or are you kind of a person who probably create your own plan, you will research for a bit, then you go to a travel website or talk to a travel agent, and try to create like a personalized plan for yourself. You might do it yourself or go to a site to do that. What kind of a person are you? Uh, Again, for me, it's probably the B, but I know a lot of my friends who are in that A. Um, so I'm a B. So I probably would do a lot of my research on myself. So what I used to do was primarily I used to go to sites like hotel.com. I used to go to like sites like booking.com, Expedia, and try researching about the place, researching about the hotels, the options that I have. And it's cumbersome. It's just the planning part of that takes away a lot of my own bandwidth, a lot of my energy. Um, then I hit up on a good site, which is Pick Your Trail. Um, it's an Indian one. If you're not in India, you might not be completely aware of them, but Indian side. So what it does is really it asks me to choose my travel style. So I can think about, oh, do I want to go to a beach? So am I like an adventure guy? Do I like more of a family vacation? Um, I hit for the sake of demonstration, I hit the family vacation in this case. And what it did was it threw up a bunch of popular destinations. Um, Definitely the top. I took a screenshot of the top four. Great. So it's good. So is it personalized for me? I don't know. It's customized to some extent, yes. So I think this is an example where someone's doing a segmentation. It's not still, I don't think so. It's not still personalization, right? So it's a segmentation, and it gave me some good options. I wanted something more personalized for myself, right? And that's where I hit this site, which is called mindtrip.ai, which worked pretty well for me. And again, you can try it out yourself as well. But it asks me to create my own travel persona. And then it went on to ask me a lot of things, right? How do you like your vacation? Like, what's your usual accommodation style? Do you like to be put up on a luxury hotel or a boutique hotels, or do you like the eco lodges? When you are on a vacation, what do you really like to do? Are you budget conscious? Do you start your day early? Mm, I I don't know. As in, do you and do you want to go out, hit or a breakfast place, or are you a night traveler kind of a person? What kind of dining experiences you look for? Like, yeah, I might be in a luxury hotel, but for me, I want to go out and hit on some of the food trucks which has the local cuisines. So it asked me a lot of questions, and then it gave me a bunch of inspiration. And I was a bit surprised because it actually threw up a bunch of places where I have actually gone to or want to go to, right? Like last year we went to Budapest, and it had Budapest as a top three in the list, which is good. But then I can actually go and try to really customize, personalize my travel experience. I think that's how the things are changing. In the world of, in the current world, um, customers need choices. And it's like those Matrix movie, right? When Keanu Reeves say, we need choice. And if you really look for this, there's a bunch of different statistics out there, but this is like if consumers are given personalized experiences, there's a high probability of these customers really making the purchase. So as an organization, really if you are successful in providing a good personalized experience to the customers, they stay with you. They have that probability of doing the purchase with you. And then as you as you do it once correctly, what you do is you continue to improve on it. So this is why where what I keep on telling teams across enterprises, that you do it well once and continue to improve on it, because that's where things are changing. A personalized offering experience right now would change tomorrow for me. So I change as a person every hour. So my choices change, right? So as an enterprise, we have to also understand how to hit upon those good pointers with customers. So we are moving actually. So if you look into it, the evolution has been there, right? So bunch of a decade back, or probably 2 decades back, when we used to send a email or email to a customer, we never used to probably seldom we used to use their first name. A lot of times in the last decade or so, we have changed from there or moved from there to start calling out a customer by their name, the first name, last name, Mr. Sinha, hi Anirban, thanks for completing the purchase on the website. A lot of time we send out mass emails, and as customers, you might be, if you look into your spam emails, you get like hundreds and thousands of emails that you are trying to delete every time. And as consumers, what we are right now in an era of a lot of these generic personalized or generic customized communications sent to us, right? Whether on email or SMSs or WhatsApp, right? Or any of the other communication channels that you have in your place. But that's how the traditional uh, personalization used to have, right? It involves using simple data points about a customer to create kind of a customized experience. Let's take an example, right? Uh, as an user, I like to see some of the uh, exercise videos, right? So a lot of videos that use morning exercises. So this site keeps on sending me a lot of the popular workout routines. It's helpful. It's helpful, sure, but it's not unique. It's not unique to me. It's because what I get today is very similar to what probably another person gets tomorrow around the same workouts. So what we are going towards is right now, guys, we are moving from that traditional personalization to an era of hyper personalization. And you might be hearing these words across all different forums. But what is hyper personalization, right? At the heart of hyper personalization is it's really a lot of machine learning, a lot of the data analytics, a lot of artificial intelligence, and and uh, and we are in an era where there's a lot of it's a technologically advanced era where there's different advanced technologies that can analyze vast amounts of data, that can analyze data like my browsing habits, my purchase history, a lot of real-time behavior to really create an experience that feels uniquely personal to me, and it engages with me from start to finish. Like, for example, in the same example of the videos, right? There might be a site, or there might be an app which uses that hyper personalization approach to create customized exercise plans based on a deep analysis of my browsing behavior, my fitness goals, my past performance, my preferred workout routines, right? And how I have probably used some of these workout routines in the past. So it's primarily using a lot of these individualized interactions to create unique experiences is the era where we are going towards. However, however, I was listening to one of the so again, I have these examples on the screen, which is you have Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, which are probably some of the examples that people use when they talk about a great personalization engine, a good recommendation engine. Netflix, as you know, it has a pretty good recommendation engine. It gives you the top 10 for you, which is very customized for you. When you open the Netflix screen, it gives you the first couple of videos that you would see is you. And even then, the VP of this experience in Netflix says that we are probably not there. We are not there. We're probably like miles away from where we should be. So a company like Netflix probably would not claim to be there. So I interact with a lot of different enterprises. We Different enterprises are in different parts of that personalization evolution curve. And what a lot of organizations they end up doing right now in the name of personalization is that what we talked about before, right? We send out a lot of the communications on email, SMSs, hundreds and hundreds of SMSs sent out to customers, lying on the spam. Are we even listening to what the customers want? Are we listening to them? Do we even look into how good is our open rate? How many of these customers are opening these emails or opening the SMSs? How many of them are clicking on those emails? How much is your conversion from these emails? What is the exit rate? There is a point at which, say, let's take an example. I'm in a bad mood today. I uh, Let's take an emotional example, right? I lost my one of my relatives, or my grandparents, right? And a couple of months back or a couple of weeks back, I was searching for something for my granddad, and the site keeps on sending me, "What do you want to watch? Do you want to purchase more of the wheelchairs? Do you want to purchase more of the medicines around for old age?" Am I going to be happy or am I going to be pissed off, right? So I think some of these communication, even if it means personal, is not worth it. So we see a lot of customers actually exiting or providing their preference as don't contact me. A lot of times what organizations end up doing wrongly is in the name of segmentation, we pick up the best cohorts, right? I pick up the cohort of customers who give me the most transactions, who give me the most purchases, right? And I get that cohort of customers, and a bunch of analysts start saying, "Oh, that's my best cohort. Let's give them the best experience." And in the name of the best experience, I start personalize my communication to this cohort and keep on sending them communications and try to milk them, right? Is that the right approach? I don't know. Might work, might not work. But these are questions that we need to ask as leaders when we devise that customer strategy for personalization, right? And then one of the things that we need to understand is every vintage, and this is where we as analysts we look into different cohorts of customers, different segments of customers, different vintages of customers, try to treat them differently. This is what we used to do, like from the last decade onwards. We used to segment, we try to segment our customers, give them a lot of different experiences based on our segmentation. And we have to understand that every vintage is different. Like, for example, a McKinsey report says all our Gen Z, 58% of them really expect brands to offer them unique, tailored experiences. So do you want to really treat your Gen Z and the millennials in the same way, or do we want to give them different experiences? How, as organizations, as analysts in your different spaces, right? How do you move from those segments to micro cohorts to one-to-one? So that's the journey that we are taking as different enterprises. And you might be in different parts of this journey, but the most important thing is that we need to start collecting, storing the base layer of data in the right manner, right? I'm a big proponent of, in my organization, I talk a lot about how we should start collecting data and keeping data for a lot of the good analytics use. So as a lot of the internal data, you need to start collecting it and storing it in the right manner. So you should start looking into how your user interaction data looks like. Where are the users clicking, searching, purchasing? You need to start tagging these data sets into intent signals, right? So what's the search behavior? Are they abandoning a cart at particular time? You need to also look into the contextual data, right? It's a lot of the real-time signals that users give from a location standpoint, from a time standpoint, the device. We have a lot of real recent examples where you can see different rates offered to the customer if on Uber, if the customer is on iOS versus Android, right? So these are contextual data that we need to collect, start analyze, right? So I think that's where we are moving towards. But we have to understand as analysts, sometimes what you are offered already is the data, and you start working on that. And this session is primarily for broader segments of audiences, and I'm not sure where you come from, which part of the organizations you come from, but there's a big part about how you collect data that can really help you provide the right personalization for customers, right? And that's where a lot of discussions around how you request permissions come into picture. So as a user, as a customer, I have to really provide explicit, implicit permissions to organizations to start communicating with me. Do I want to be communicated on email versus SMS is something that the organizations do not decide. That's decided by me. So I have to provide permissions in terms of how my data is going to be used. And as enterprises, we have to really strategically plan to plan on how we should start requesting permissions from the users to access their user data, right? Say, for example, instead of asking the user, do you want to be communicated on email for any of the marketing communications, we can say, can we provide a screen? And this is probably a question for our product UI UX audiences. Can we provide a screen to our users where we say, okay, select topics which you love, which are of more interest to you. Is it email or SMSs? Or talk about topics that you want to be informed about. Like for example, Spotify prompts their new users to select their favorite artists. Um, and that's where they start shaping their initial playlist, right? So as a product design person, we have to really understand how do you design the right product screens so that we can start requesting permissions in context. So you have, and that's what probably Google does the best way, right? As in, it has a lot of search, and at different parts of the search, it starts gathering a lot of the data. Uh, so it's a lot about where, when, and how you collect those preferences. And it's always, for me, the mantra is always the less is the better. And you will hear this from me from a personalization standpoint is as well. So I tell my teams that less is the better. So as you talk to customers, the less is the better. So I don't want to bombard my customers with like multiple emails telling the same thing. So less is the better. And when you have that mantra, when you move towards that mantra is where you strategically devise the right ways of going there. I think again, it's a Gen AI era. A lot of you probably are interested to understand also how Gen AI is helping organizations devise their personalized solutions. Uh, so the one thing that I keep on saying is Gen AI can be really used to talk to you in your language. And I'm not talking about your native language, but in the language that you prefer to be heard around. In the same tone, same emotion, same behavior. So we can really use, a lot of companies are using Gen AI agentic solutions to really talk to their customers. Say, for example, and there's different ways of approaching this, right? So say, for example, all of you might have heard about Duolingo's. The owl, it actually encourages people with playful nudges, right? It said, oh, you are on fire, keep up the streak, right? So it makes learning more rewarding. Then if you look into Spotify, I use Spotify a lot. Spotify gives me a different morning playlist versus a different evening playlist. It's a chill evening versus morning motivations kind of a thing. Um, so it's 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 a lot also about how so a lot of things is around also how do you really make it work, right? Say, for example, in Spotify, it uses a lot of the AI in the background to process a vast array of my engagement data, right? And it includes my songs, my podcasts, my audiobooks, what I've listened to, and it's then starts tagging these different things by genre, by era, by my tempo, by my mood, and a long list of characteristics, right? And once it understands these variables, these tags really allow Spotify to collate the right playlist based on my listening habits, right? And it's real time. So, that's what's happening right now. So you can really use your Gen AI solutions to start communicating to the customers in the right manner, right? So I will take another example, which is pretty exciting, right? So the Nike Training Club, it celebrates milestones. It's a very small, simple solution, very simple solution, right? It celebrates milestone and says, amazing dedication. You have completed 10 workouts this month, say, for example. It's a simple way of treating customers by looking into their history and giving them using words which really gel with the customers, right? But you need to be we need to be careful. I was in a recently GNAI conference, and a lot of our discussions across organizations revolve around one, definitely your architecture, but also around the guardrails. And you will keep hearing this more often going forward. So how do you as how when you use the we use the personalized solutions, we should be very careful about the guardrails. You need to talk to your privacy, legacy to really define those guardrails. Are we trying to do a personalization where the engine uses, say, for example, race and age to discriminate? I might like, for example, Facebook, they they keep on getting a lot of backlash for using a lot of these things, right? Say, for example, they promote a particular job ad to whites versus a different job ads to the blacks. They some and they got into a legal tussle around that. They sometimes I've heard things around their targeted ads about pregnancy and engagement rings based on the relationship status and other comments that the users post. So we are heading towards the end of the webinar, guys. So I would like to spend the next couple of minutes to really say what I think as companies, enterprises, what you should really do to start providing and doing the right personalized offerings to your customers. Um, we have talked about internal data. We have talked about how to really gather permission from the users in the right manner, strategically to access their data sets. We have talked about GenAI. The other thing that we should be talking about is really how you start using external research data. This is one very key important thing that needs to be there. So the internal data is one part, but it can only be enriched if you start using a lot of the external research data, right? So you have to collect the social data, the psychographic data, a lot of the demographics data. Uh, and when we talk about psychographic data, it's mostly around how I can analyze lifestyle, values, interests for my users in different places. So a lot of our Western Union's customer base lies across different geographies, across different communities, interest groups. So we talk to them in different places of their interest, right? So we might go to a community gathering to really gather feedback from these users, right? So it really opens up the next discussion around how do you gather customer feedback. So one part is I can devise a bunch of different personalized solutions, but a lot of enterprises, they do not talk to their customers to gather feedback. So please create strategies around how you explicitly and implicitly get feedback. Like what do I mean by explicit feedback generation, right? On Instagram, say for example, if as an user I choose to report or hide a post, it immediately disappears from my feed. And then the platform starts adjusting its recommendation engine to show me less similar content. So how do I start? As organizations, you have to be very clear in terms of how do you start getting this feedback, but not as not start acting on it, like, and not let the customer just provide feedback which goes into a dustbin. Do not make it look like a code, right? Say make it simple. For example, you look into YouTube, and if you like a video, or Netflix, you like a video, you can just do a thumbs up. So to have things where you can gather these feedback and use that going forward. Um, my last slide is going to be something that I keep on telling every person, every team, every organizations that I meet with is experiment. Do not be where you are. Do not try to be the best in terms of personalization. If you're not there, start taking baby steps, start doing all the things that we talked about, and a lot more things that you already know about in your business that I don't know about, and create use cases, engage the right teams, create use cases, and experiment. Put it into execution. Experiment, experiment, and experiment. And that will that sorry, my bad. So experiment, gather feedback, and experiment. Right. So don't just let the experiment sit there. Put it into execution, gather feedback, and re-experiment. With that, I I I I probably would end it here. Take some questions from all of you, but hope you love the webinar. Let me know. I'm on LinkedIn. You can feel free to drop me a message if you have any questions or want to connect.
Hey,
Thank you.
thanks, Anirban. Uh, we have a few questions popping up in the Q&A. So we have one already asking, like, is there any particular programming languages which he has to be proficient with to get into this AI personalization models?
I think it all starts with it goes back to where how do you really where you are right now, right? And how do you really use your customer segmentations right now? So we use a lot of the analysts, they use the basic Python to start with to really start analyzing the customer segments. But we have a bunch of tools that can be actually plugged in on the top of that. All of our Gen AI tools that can start talk, even use a lot of the Gen AI tools out in the market to start building on the top of Python your own versions of talking to customers in the personalized way, right? To execute it in the market, we need it to be integrated with product, right? So that's why I'm saying where you are. If you are an analyst, I think it's a lot about Python, and then start also thinking about what Gen AI tools you are most comfortable with. But then if you are in the other side of the spectrum, you are in product UI UX, you need to really understand how you get some of these inputs from the APIs and start putting that into your product UI UX, right? So that's where again on other than that, there's a bunch of freely available third-party tools that you can use to devise personalized solutions very quickly and easily. Um, in the market, right? So hope that answers the question.
Yeah, we have another one, Harish Kumar asking, how is AI personalization used in adaptive learning platforms?
Hey Harish, so thanks. That's a great question. So a lot of the learning platforms. So it's more about. So we talked about how different personalization solutions they take in a lot of these data sets of an user, analyzes it and provides the solution, and then also starts gathering the real-time feedback, right? So say, for example, it's a learning solution. A lot of the learning solution, it keeps on understanding. So when you log in or start using that solution the learning platform, it can either start with, say, asking the user in terms of what their kind of interests are, right? And accordingly start providing them a bunch of first draft of recommendation. As I choose a particular learning module. Say, for example, going back to the other one, I say I want to learn Python for beginners, and I start learning the Python for beginners based on my speed of the training, based off on my ability to answer the questions in the training modules, based on my behavior in terms of really flipping the pages and the sub modules, right? It can really identify the expertise levels, the skill levels, and where can it recommend me the next solution, right? And then as I go through this training, the learning platform can start providing me recommendations in terms of whether I want to go to Python for advanced users, or probably it can also recommend me based on my skills, SQL for beginners, or it can also start understanding based on my answering a lot of the different questions. Gen AI solutions for users, right? So for customers. So depending on how a lot of different variables that I can associate with the user behavior, the learning platform can start recommending me a lot of different stuff. Hope that answers your question, Harish. If it does not, I can happy to talk to you as well.
Yeah, thanks, Anirban. We have one more attendee asking, is there any use case of the AI personalization used in fraud detection?
Uh, so again, it's a great question. I might answer it, and might like or it's my perspective about how personalization is used in fraud detection. Uh, so a lot of our traditional fraud detection or fraud models are based on a lot of different segments, right? Um, let's understand that fraud detection is something that actually needs to happen real time. On the flow, I need to be able to detect a particular fraud with reasonable accuracy, as in not reasonable, pretty good, high accuracy. A lot of our traditional AI models that's used in fraud detection, it uses a lot of segmentation, right? And companies across world for fraud detection, they use a lot of external data. And one of the most probably highly used department where a lot of the external data is also highly used, right? Um, so, so what we have traditionally done is use a lot of these segmentations to really decide whether I have a high probability of this kind of transactions becoming fraud or this kind of behaviors becoming fraudulent. But there's a huge opportunity of using personalized, like that one-on-one data set to derive lookalikes, right? So I can have lookalikes where frauds have happened, and use those lookalikes to really start getting more personalized on in terms of detecting those frauds, right? Having said that, it will require a lot of data sets in terms of a an individual browsing patterns, purchase patterns, interaction patterns across and we have technologies right now which are pretty adept and capable to do that. So so I think we will probably go there. I'm not sure that if different organizations are exactly there in terms of getting to that one-to-one fraud detection, but we'll probably go there. Having said that, the other big part about fraud detection is uh, sometimes we might get a good transaction and or might get a good behavior, and the model says, oh, this might be a fraudulent behavior, right? These are like the hallucinations that we talk about, right? The bias that we talk about. And in cases like that, we can really start devising personalized solutions to these customers, saying, asking them different questions, the next level of questions, and also providing them personalized next steps in terms of, oh, do you want to provide your ID, or do you want to go to a nearby shop and do a verification, right? Or do a lot of these personalized recommendation to that particular customer to help enable getting a good customer through the line and not rejecting him or her. Uh, that's my perspective. Again, hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I just wanted clarification there, Anirban. Like, are you saying that the bias which can cause hallucination can lead to the machine making false positives, like based on some odd behaviors? It could be false positives as well.
Yes, so we as we are getting into a, so again, depending on the models that we use, depending on some of the advanced complex models that we use, there are cases where there can be false positives, right? And there can be cases where a good customer is rejected because the system just thinks, the model just thinks, and again, these are models, these are not like they always have error rates, they always have biases, and they can actually reject a customer based on a good customer based on the output. The question to us as organizations is, how do I get some of these cases and not straight away reject them, but also give them a different path by which they can probably go ahead and complete the particular purchase or the transaction, but go through a couple of more steps, which definitely adds more friction to the steps. But yeah, it can happen.
I just take one more question, which is on similar lines, okay? And there's one attendee asking, like, he's talking about how is AI improving personalized healthcare? Because I think that's a hot topic of personalized healthcare right now. Can you throw some light on it?
Great questions for everyone, right? And I will talk about a company which is which so they're a private healthcare organization dealing with cancer, right? And it's a pretty sensitive, emotional topic to a lot of us. What it does is, definitely what they do is, they when you and then this is a private healthcare company, right? And they are for profit. So but they what they start what they have started doing is, for every patient across their healthcare divisions, they start collecting the data, right? And as they start collecting data, they start understanding the patterns, and they're pretty advanced um, in terms of their interpretation, but they have also integrated with a bunch of third parties to analyze a lot of the trends that they see in patient uh, data sets and diagnoses, to start providing them solutions. So they have tailored solutions for each customer. And mind it, we're talking about patients who have cancers, which is very sensitive. They are very weak mentally as well. So they have tailored solutions made for each patient, depending on what stage they are and what recommendation, what diagnosis they have, and all they collect all the different recommendations from the different third parties, and these are third parties which are experts in each different parts of the cancer detection, and they start providing these patients with tailored diagnosis plans, right? So for some patients, they might have 7-day check-in, right? For some patients, they might have a 30-day check-in with a particular steps A, B, C, D, and they have this huge document that they provide to the patients. Once This is just one example of a pretty niche healthcare solution, and when you put on the top of that like multi-specialty hospitals and the amount of stuff that they can do, looking into the data to really start talking to the customers, and they're also integrating the Gen AI on the top of that to really start making these tailored solutions, but also start talking to these customers in their own language, in their own using their own emotions, is going to be path breaking. Again, I'm not from the healthcare world. I do follow some of these developments in the market, but if there's someone from healthcare who has more information, would love to connect with them and talk more on that. Does that help, Rob?
Absolutely. That's a nice use case you took because, like, diagnosis from, hospitals like have suddenly become, a standalone entity, and now the data which has been collected there, right? Yeah, it's creating its data sets which can be put to use to personalize, individuals. Like, yeah, yeah, it was. I think I got my answer, Anirban. We'll take a couple more. We have Hridayansh Parashar asking, uh, how should a small scale company approach, especially investing in a cost effective, approach to AI personalization? If you have any tips, you can provide.
So I think I would probably ask you to start, so that there's two different ways to do that. One, definitely um, do it internally and start creating some solutions on your own, which might become tedious given a small scale company. But there's always stuff that you can that you can do on your own and start experimenting. But on the other hand, there's there's a huge plethora uh, of solution providers in the market who can really start coming in and mind. Please remember, these are all of these different vendors, different third party solution providers. They have uh, the good part about them is uh, they are experts in their own field, right? And they're experts in their own field, and then they can start. What you can do is you can really start uh, integrating them into your solutions and get that particular niche uh, offering, right? Um, So again, there's a bunch of these bunch of them in the market. So I would probably ask you to talk and explore a few of them.
Hey, thank you so much, Anirban, for taking time out for us today. It was a wonderful session and insightful as well. And most of our international audience also appreciate your slow pace of speaking English, right? That also actually is a plus for us today, anyway. And thank you all for joining our session today. And please visit our website, iabsc.org, to become an authorized training partner. And we'll keep you all posted on all our upcoming events by email and across all our social media channels. And we're looking forward to connecting with you all soon. And thank you all for attending today's session. And have a nice day, everyone. Thank you so much, Anirban.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice Friday and weekend, all of you. Thank you.
Likewise.
Thanks, Ram.
Bye, Anirban.
Bye.